you for tuning in to Black History Month Live. If you've been enjoying this series and feel like you're able to, then we'd really appreciate a donation to our GoFundMe page, which is www.gofundme.com/F/Black History Month Live. All donations will be split between the artists and contributors who have brought you the series. Next up, I was lucky enough to go and interview Vanessa Kanbi. Vanessa Kanbi is a successful YouTuber, and she also has a podcast for mums. She started off her career in modeling and then ventured into the filmmaking world. Check out this video to find out more.
Hello everyone and welcome to Black History Month Live. I'm Lamothe from the African and Caribbean Society of Scotland, and I'm joined today by Vanessa Kanbi. Thanks for coming along and speaking to me today. So for Black History Month we are celebrating the achievements of Black people living in Scotland, and Vanessa is a shining example of this. She's a filmmaker, she has a YouTube channel and a podcast. So I think it'd be good to just talk a little bit about how you, your experience way back, if we take you way back, and your experience of growing up here in Scotland.
Thanks so much for having me on your platform, and what you're doing is really amazing, so I really appreciate it. So going back, my dad's from Ghana, my mum's from Scotland. I was born in Edinburgh, and I really had a great childhood. And when I was really young, I never looked in a mirror, so I never really realised that I was different to my peers, or a different colour from my peers. And I just remember once when I was drawing a painting, and I was thinking, okay, my colour isn't that, peach sort of skin colour as they used to call it, which is so problematic. And I was like, that's not me. Okay, I know that my dad's black and my mum's white, I'll mix those colours together, and that turned out grey, and I was like, hang on, that's not me either. And I think then I was maybe 5 or 6, that's when I realised that, hang on a second, my colour, and I actually remember it so vividly, my colour is different from basically all of my friends in my class. Even though my dad I saw every day and I had my sister, I feel like you don't really look at your parents and think of their race, it's only when you self-reflect. But yeah, growing up in Edinburgh, there was obviously a sort of a black scene. I don't know if you went to Massa and sort of went to Lulu.
Lulu's on a Sunday, yeah.
Actually, Burger King on Princess Street was quite a spot that people used to hang out. The Princess Street Gardens. There was places where I felt there was a black scene. Mm-hmm. In Edinburgh, I mean, it wasn't huge. I'm pretty sure it's the same sort of people that are around today.
Everybody knew each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So no, that was actually quite nice, a sense of community going on. But I only really found that when I was a teenager, when I was sort of at an age that I could go out on my own. Growing up, I think I wasn't so aware, but my parents made a huge effort to take us to Ghana every second year, where my dad's from, and I loved it there. And I think that's where my connection to Ghana and, the Ghanaian culture really set in from such a young age. I went from when I was 3 years old.
Okay, that's fantastic, because it's really important to have that connection to back home.
Yeah.
And I don't think everybody has that, so that's, it's great. And it's great that you felt that way growing up in Scotland. Did you feel like it was an accepting place generally?
So, I mean, I'd say I didn't feel that, my white friends at school necessarily could relate to the fact that maybe I wasn't white and I wasn't having the same experiences as them. But, as a whole, things were fine. There was certain experiences that I had. I had plaits in my hair at school, braids, that I had from, a young age, but the school kind of said, tried to have a bit of you're not allowed to have those, you have to have your hair. And then it went into this thing, and then they said, no, it's culturally accepted for you. And then my friend who was white also got braids because she wanted to have them like me, and then they were like, you can't have them. So all that is kind of difficult when you're quite young, but I would say that, the school made an effort to make a change, but it was just that there shouldn't have been a moment when they tried to say that that wasn't okay. And there was things like that. I was called certain names by bullies, at school, but
yeah, kids can be mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Comments
But yeah, I guess it's just the sort of feeling like you're from somewhere. I'd say more growing up, being back in Scotland now, kind of doing the school run and that sort of thing. I do kind of feel a bit out of place, but I guess that's something that I need to work on, because it's, sometimes you see people looking at my hair. Hair is a big thing.
Hair is a big thing.
Like, people ask, ever since I was like younger, going to clubs, like, can I touch your hair? And when I was younger, I used to say yes. But growing up, I've thought, no, why would you touch my hair? That's kind of weird. Especially when I spoke about it on social media. People were like, that's so strange, but it was so normalized to me, people asking to touch my hair. But actually last year I had an experience, no, it was in January of this year, I was at Edinburgh Airport, and the man who was like putting the bags onto the conveyor said, can I touch your hair? And I said no. And then he just touched it, and I honestly felt so violated. And it's these sort of like microaggressions that, yeah, he's not hitting me, but it's the, it sort of like digs away at you. So yeah, but I do have, like, obviously, like, my family's so great here, and I have, like, great friends and stuff in Edinburgh. I do think it's good, but obviously things do happen here as well.
Yeah, those little experiences that people might not notice us experiencing are the things that start to grate, aren't they? But they don't, I think they don't happen too often, but when they do, it does feel like a violation, especially with hair and things like that. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about filmmaking and how you got into that. What was your journey to filmmaking? Why filmmaking? And did you study it or just decide that was the career that you wanted to go for?
So ever since I was young, my dad used to call me VBC, like Vanessa Broadcasting Corporation, because I used to just ask people so many questions. When I'd meet them, I'd just ask so many, just like intrigued. Yeah, an inquisitive soul. So from back then, and then I really loved documentaries. That was literally all I watched. I'm not really into like like sort of dramas isn't
Real
really
Housewives. It's not your cup of tea.
No, not so much. So I love documentaries, and then I modelled for like 10 plus years. I mean, I still do a bit here and there, but then I realised like I want to do something that's like using my creativity and my brain, and I want to do something, because when you're modelling, you're just doing what they're asking you to do. You're on the magazine of their brand or whatever, and I just wanted to do my own thing. So I actually started a cold pressed juice company, and then I was pregnant with my daughter. I had her, and I was like, the cold pressed juice company was too much. It was just a lot of work. And so I thought, what can I do from home that I'm going to enjoy and that's going to be like a good thing for me to do? And then that's when I started my YouTube channel. And then from there, I started doing work with BBC The Social. From there, I kind of started doing things with BBC Radio Scotland. I've been on Black and Scottish, which is a documentary by Stuart Simmery. And then I was on something called The People's News. I've been on 2 seasons of that, which is kind of like in the lives of people's houses, kind of like Gogglebox. So I was on that as well. And then just from there, I've just done more and more work. I've made things for CNN.
Wow,
yeah.
That's fantastic.
Thanks.
Really fantastic. So it's something that you just did to fit in with your lifestyle. It was an interest of yours, and it just grew and grew and grew.
Yeah, I mean, I knew from when I started it that I wanted it to be my full-time career.
Okay.
But I also knew that it was going to take time. Like this is 3 years on from when I started my channel, and like finally it's doing really well. But it did take 3 years, I mean, it wasn't like instantly, I remember when I was making videos to like one person, and now I've got like 70,000+
Wow.
subscribers and like 7 million views. So these things take time, but it's definitely worth it.
That's fantastic. Really
Thanks.
fantastic. So tell us, if we're, going onto your YouTube channel, what kind of thing to expect. I know you travel to Ghana in your videos and talk about, living there a little bit as well. So what kind of things do you cover topic-wise in your YouTube channel?
So I basically go to Ghana and I take videos about what's going on there. I found that the West, as people call it, which some people say is a problematic term, or the global North, portrays Africa in quite a negative light a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And so I felt like when I told my friends I was going to Ghana, they had no idea that I was, going and having a really nice time, staying in amazing hotels. The clubs were just so much better than anything I'd experienced.
Right.
But people here had no idea of that. So I kind of thought, hang on a second. I started making videos when I was traveling to Ghana, and they were doing really well. So I was like, let me just change my whole channel to show what I want to show to the world about Ghana. Because it's like you can moan, but like unless you're doing something, it's not really like working. So I did that, and it's done really well. I mean, Ghana is really trending at the moment. A lot of people are interested to see what's going on there. There's a lot of African Americans or Africans born in America that are interested in moving to Africa because of, you know, like rediscovering their roots, but also because of like a lot of the brutality and sort of discrimination that goes on. And the same in the UK as well. So I think I show people, you know, what it's like to live there, places to stay, places to go, places to eat, and like real estate as well.
So am I correct in saying that you did some modelling and that you still currently do as well?
Yeah, so I modelled for 10 years and now I do it here and there, but it's not like my main focus.
Okay. So I just wondered, you know, did that affect you in modelling, you know, being a mixed race model, how did that affect you in your career? And, you know, did you feel like there were any barriers to you because of that?
I mean, I definitely feel like at the time when I was in the industry, I met some really great friends and it was, you know, it was good money and all the rest of it. But my main barrier was my size, and I was way thinner than I am now, by the way, just to let you know. And I don't agree in that whole pressure on weight, which comes with modelling or came with it. I think it might be changing now. But my main thing was like my hips, and I know that that's obviously like a feature that I probably get from my dad's side. And they would always say that everything was fine, but my hips were always too big. And I actually don't think it would have been possible for me to get to the size that they wanted me to be. And so I feel like that in itself is a bit of like discrimination, because it's like,
yeah, it's genetics.
Yeah,
you know?
because of the
How
way
can you
your
compete?
body's shaped. It was an unhealthy environment, you know, the pressure that I was put under to be a certain way. I was told I had to go into the agency and get the gym card to go to the gym so that they knew every time I was going to the gym. You know, I was told in front of loads of people, like, you know, you're just too big. And it was like a lot of pressure, and that's one thing I really didn't like about it. You know, if I put on a bit of weight, they'd say, oh, you can't do that job just now. They want you to lose weight. It was just a lot. So that was my main issue with sort of like the industry, was the pressure on weight, and also the fact that I didn't believe in like the beauty standards that they were trying to portray.
Right.
I just felt like, why should, like, if they choose me, for example, why should I be on this magazine and they're saying this is what's beautiful, when everyone is beautiful, you know, in their own right, and everyone looks unique. It just didn't really sit right with me.
Yeah, because that's part of the beauty, isn't it, of life, is that everyone's so different. You know, it'd be
Yeah.
so boring if we all looked the same and if we all were the same. And,
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Actually, another thing was one agent told me that if I straightened my hair, I'd do so much better. So I remember getting the email and just thinking, is this actually for real? Like, they basically don't want me to be me. Do you know what I mean? They want to take away my hair, which is part of my identity. And I think I did it for a while. I had straight hair modelling, but 3 years ago I shaved all my hair off. And I think a reason for that is because, like, in the industry there was so much focus on my hair and everything to do with my hair that I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to shave it all off. So I had like no hair for a bit. Yeah,
somehow.
exactly. And then
Yeah.
since then I've never straightened my hair, so this hair has never been straightened.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I would never ever do it again, but it's just not something I ever did for fun. I never straightened my hair to go out. I never did anything like that, so it was just something I did for the agency, basically.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that. You know, a lot of people here, like we said a couple of times, is a big deal in our community. And I think a lot of people grew up trying to meet that Western beauty standard by straightening their hair or having extensions and, you know, weaves and everything. And it's so much work, actually. And so, yeah, I think a lot of people could probably relate to that.
And
you
some
know.
people do just do it because that's the way they want to express themselves. You know,
Right.
they want to have weaves and whatever. So I'm not like dissing anybody that decides to wear their hair like that.
Yeah, so you're a mum now and you've started a podcast for mums, right? Tell
Yeah.
us a bit about that. What's the channel called? The podcast?
So I have a podcast called Magnificent Mothers, where I interview mums about their life stories and experiences, because after I had my daughter I had quite severe anxiety and I felt like I was the only one that was, you know, going through that. But I started going to these women's circles and I realised that everyone's going through something, and sharing is so powerful. And then I just thought, you know, it's great to hear like positive stories from mums. You know, some mums feel like, you know, they've sort of lost themselves, like and really successful mums, just to see how they do it. So yeah, it's just mums telling their stories on the podcast.
Fantastic. And is it people from Scotland that you interview, or people from other places, or, you know?
So it's mainly mums from Scotland because like that's where I'm based most of the time. But I have started doing some online interviews as well, especially like at the moment. Okay. So people from other places as well.
What advice would you give to all the young people out there who want to become professional social media influencers and have a career in this field? Because I think a lot of kids nowadays, that's what they aspire to be, you know? Yeah. What advice would you give them, do you think?
So I'd say if it's YouTube specifically that you're wanting to do, it is definitely a long journey. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, but you just have to have the vision and keep going. You know, have a niche that you want to talk about and then be consistent. So upload the same days every week and just keep going. Have captivating thumbnails. Make sure that your title is searchable. So it's like something that somebody's searching for. So I title some of mine like living in Ghana because that's something that people would type. Maybe if you do things that are valuable to people rather than if you want to do vlogs, if you're just doing them about yourself to start with, people probably aren't going to find you. So if you're doing something that's valuable to people, you're giving them valuable information, that should work. And in terms of Instagram, I don't really focus on Instagram so much, but again, creating content that people want to see, highlighting stories that haven't been highlighted, if it's your own story or, you know, there's so many things you could do about makeup. Just make sure you're trying to create the best quality you can. Even with a phone, I've done vlogs purely on my phone, and the camera and the mics on phones now are so good that you can definitely do that. Just finding the right lighting and everything. I was not scared to reach out to people, and even now, I still reach out to people that are doing really well. People that inspire me to see if they'd be willing to, you know, share any information with me in my journey. So yeah, just reach out to people that you are inspired by, or even other creators on your level to chat to them.
That's right, because you need a village, don't you, to make things happen sometimes, and also that's part of the fun, collaborating with people. You know, you interview people, and like when you go back to Ghana, there's so many people you meet and they tell their stories. It's all, you know, much more interesting when you get other people involved.
Yeah,
you know?
And what I really love to see is, you know, if I have somebody on my channel and then so many people relate to their story, and then if they've got a business, you know, the business is growing. Like, I just love to see other people's progress as well, through even just like one YouTube video, like what that can do when it reaches so many people.
Yeah, absolutely. There's certainly a lot more diversity in film and TV and social media as well. There's lots of different faces now in all these fields. Compared to when we were growing up, I think there's a big difference, right? Yeah. But would you say there are any challenges for Black people who are interested in pursuing a career in media or film?
So I think I've worked, you know, with different big organisations. I've worked behind the scenes on big productions, not a big role or anything like that, but the diversity is not there, especially in crews, and even behind the scenes, and it's not exactly there yet. But it doesn't mean to say that you don't have a chance. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Last year I did this thing called The Network, which was with the TV festival in Edinburgh, and I just applied for that, found it online, and that gave me an opportunity to go to all these seminars for free, and then after that they try and get you into a job. So there is actually things going on out there if you can find them. That you can apply to, that will give you like a step up, because if you don't know anyone in the industry, if you don't know where to start, it can be quite daunting. But there is definitely like groups of people that are out there, and I can share some of the links as well that maybe we could put in this for anybody that's wanting to do that.
Fantastic. Yeah, that would be great, because I think you're so right there. It's kind of like the music industry. If you don't know people already, you have to make those connections somehow, don't you? Exactly. Yeah, but that's interesting. So maybe we're seeing a lot more faces on TV now that are diverse, but you're saying behind the scenes maybe that's not the case. Is that right?
The thing is, I don't know about the rest of the UK. I've just done a few things in Scotland with that, and no.
In Scotland, it's not so diverse behind the scenes, like the technical jobs and the production
the sort
jobs.
Of crew.
Yeah. Why do you think Black History Month is an important month to celebrate, and what does it mean to you?
I honestly feel like, obviously, that, you know, we should be celebrating Black history and prominent Black figures throughout the year.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time. But what Black History Month allows is for people to speak about it without anybody saying anything, if you know what I mean. But also these big organisations and broadcasters, they do take it on and they do, you know, share stories and share experiences within the Black History Month. So it kind of gives them a time where they are held accountable to say something and to show, you know, positive things. But personally, I do think it should be happening like year round. I do think, you know, a couple weeks before Black History Month, I got a lot of emails from some people that I've like never worked with before, and I just thought, how come you're only contacting me now? You know what I mean? You only want me if you've got a list of Black contributors, and then you only want them when it's Black History Month, and then for the rest of the year they're back in that Black contributors drawer, come back out next August, and then contact them again. Yeah. So like that's not something I would really like work on, like, because it's just doesn't make sense for me. Like why would I do that? Yeah. Although at the same time it's like, you know, it's good to have the faces out there for people to aspire to certain things. So it's actually such a difficult one, but taking me out of it, it's great to highlight, you know, Black history and the amazing things that Black people have done and continue to do to this day.
Yeah, and I think it's something in Scotland that we found out this year. There's a lot of things we don't know about our history in Scotland, you know. Yeah, exactly. So we're all just beginning that journey together. So I think it's important for that reason. But you're right, isn't it interesting how you're a busy person, you're doing things all year round. Why just Black History Month, you know? So that's why I wanted to celebrate you today.
Oh, thanks.
And thank you so much for joining us for Black History Month Live.
Thanks for having me.
So, when it comes to poetry and rap, what do you guys think about? What's your first memory of the two?
My dad playing Snoop Dogg. That's my first memory of rap music, for sure. We had like rubbish, like one of those tellies that was massive, but like chunky massive, not in a good way, not like a big plasma. It was like a box. And I just remember Dad watching Snoop Dogg on the telly, and I was like, oh, who's that? You know, and loved Snoop Dogg ever since.
Yeah, I remember discovering MTV back in the day, and I used to love all the music and the ring. I was so impressed by, at the time, I was so impressed with the big hoop earrings and the gel down hair and how fast these people could, you know, like let these words flow out of their mouths. I think I'm still impressed by that.
Nice. I think my first memory of rap as a genre is my cousin John. And I feel like growing up in Scotland, we all had a cool cousin from London who always came back up and told us like new music and stuff like that. So he used to come with every new gadget. So it'd be like your floppy disk player, your MP3 player, and things like that. And yeah, he just was the first ever person to teach me rap music. I remember the first time I heard developing an interest in Kanye West. And the biggest thing with Kanye West was that all of his raps before he made them a music song were a poem, and he intended to write them with the sense of it being a poem. And there's one song that made me start writing, and it's a song that he has called Bittersweet Poetry, which he also performs on Def Poetry Jam as a poem itself. And that kind of helped my understanding of there's a different way of expressing yourself and getting things out that you might not be able to talk to people about, and that kind of healing that I think a lot of stories are told through to us within poetry and rap in the Black community.
Yeah. An interesting fact about Kanye is that he, with his production style, likes to use instruments that sound like voices. And you can actually hear it when you listen to his music, that lots of things sound like a human voice, even if it's like a synthesizer or a horn or something like that. They're all like human voices. So, I mean, what an amazing producer as well as a rapper and obviously a poet, you know.
He does it really well on his the movie for Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and he kind of makes a human phoenix type thing in the way that he just brings the music together and everything.
What's your Kanye album though? This is a big question. What's the best Kanye album?
There's too many. No, I think there's College Dropout and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Those are my two favorite ones.
I'm glad you said that, because everyone says Graduation. I'm a College Dropout girl all the way.
No, hands down College Dropout. That is literally hands down my favorite. I love that album. But yeah, I also wanted to share a quote with the viewers at home of just how important the stories are behind rap and poetry. And it's from Maya Angelou, who is, we all know who she is. She's a famous poet in the Black community. And she said, I've learned that people will forget what you said, but people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And the ability to feel things through words is so much different. And it can, the way you've heard things and processed things are different to actually seeing things. And I just want you guys to think about that as we go on into this segment.
Following the words of our poets, we are going to hold a minute's silence, and we're going to remember Black victims from the UK who have not received any justice yet. After that, we go to some music from Peter Dyer and from Joseph Malik.
This year, the world was put on a standstill as the death of another innocent black man, George Floyd, happened on the 25th of May in the US. As Black History Month approaches, we need to make sure that we remember all the amazing things black people have done over the years, because they have done things that have affected everyone's lives around the world. History is changing every day. We see it in our lives, we see it in the news, we see it everywhere. We often remember past history because we're taught it in schools, but that history is for the many, not the few. The few have to look up their history in their own time, see what their ancestors did, what they made, see what they discovered, things they don't hear every day, let alone every week. In a lesson, when it's brought up, the only word you'll hear next to it is slavery. And whilst that is a major factor, there are many more things that can be talked about. But we need to make sure everything's highlighted so we can have a fair crack at sharing our history, which is actually unknown. Like how Ira Aldridge was one of the best actors in many of Shakespeare's plays. He moved to the UK from New York so he could actually get paid. And he was one of the best paid actors at the time. And this was when black actors didn't get as much recognition as whites. And he wasn't the only one who did amazing things. John Edmonston, he got his freedom and then moved to Scotland. And that's when he taught at Edinburgh University and ended up teaching Charles Darwin. Now that's a big deal, because Darwin might not have done what he had done without Edmonston's teaching. Let's hope these examples are actually to your pleasing, because these two are just two examples of what black people have done. Our history is excellent and there's nothing anyone can say about that one. But there are still people who say that slavery is a major thing. And it is, because we're reminded of it every single day, because of statues, education, and many other things. Which is why we're always having to back up our claims that we have a history worth celebrating. And there's no reason why you should still be wondering. Our history is amazing, it's elegant, it's wonderful. Our history isn't plain, our history is colorful. Now I need you all to take a step back and realize all the amazing things that was done by black people. Thank you. My name is TJ Lamothe, I'm 15 years old, and I live in Edinburgh, Scotland.
A long, long road. But look how far we've come. The dreams of our ancestors materialized in our realities now. Freedom, the choice to be, realization of our identity built on resilience, consistency, taking responsibility for our future. Because our history was disrupted, shaped and explained through slavery and oppression. But beyond that are the ancient mysteries of humans, civilizations and settlements which flourished, so don't be discouraged. Colonialism did not give us knowledge. Before, we were doctors, scientists, teachers, architects responsible for building black empires, not savages, lost tribes needing salvation and direction. Without interference, there would have been progression. Yes, we have a long way to go, but let's acknowledge how far we've come, overcoming stereotypes to be seen in a light that rightly represents us. Breaking barriers of colorism, racism, patriarchy, misogyny, and particularly the self-doubt to flourish in a system designed to keep us out. We will stand tall, prevalent and powerful like Victoria Falls, taller than the statues reminding us of our black history that shouldn't have been, taller than any biases attached to the color of our skin, taller than any limitations we may feel within.
My family has been in Scotland for 3 generations, and still we aren't welcome. 43 years ago, my mother breezed into this beautiful land, so different from her native Kenya. She spent her first few years breathless and light-headed. Her lungs wouldn't fill all the way, and she succumbed to a strange exhaustion. Well, what do you expect, she was told. With our altitude in Scotland, we live with our heads in the clouds. That sense of vertigo never disappeared. Our heads are still in the clouds. We are yet to drop our feet to the ground and put down roots. 3 generations my family has been here, and still we aren't welcome. There were so many strange and wondrous things in this new land, but there were 2 new phenomena for her to puzzle over. For the first time in her life on these distant shores, my mother discovered that she was black. Before, she was a person. Now she was told she was black. Her name and her story were unimportant. She found herself to be a manifestation of half-heard stereotypes, and she had no power here. Her limbs were heavy, her lungs were slack, and it was hard to get out of bed. Maybe it was because of the band. This was the second thing. This band that had appeared around her chest. She couldn't see it, but she knew it was there, restricting her breath, stealing her strength, making her heart hammer and her head light. It tightened with every contemptuous glance, every whisper and snigger behind her back, every time one of her children stormed home, raging, announcing, "They called me Blackie." 3 generations my family have been here, and still we aren't welcome. And she saw that her children had bands of their own. She saw it in their bright, too tight smiles, their deep inhalations like the deep breath you gulp before you cry, and she could feel their fear to breathe out and let go, lest their tears didn't stop. So what did my mother do? She fought. She grabbed that band with both hands and resisted until the friction grew white hot and burned her skin, leaving scars that never healed, and yet she declared, "I fight racism everywhere I see it so my children don't have to." We rejoiced in her triumphs against racist white men who plans to put her in her place, but she's like the wind and can't be captured. Our laughter filled our lungs deep, the justice replenishing us, just for a while. Oh, Mum, your grandchildren are fighting racism now. 3 generations my family have been here, and still we aren't welcome. The black people of this land learned to fight from their mothers and fathers, but why should we have to? We just want to live and breathe free, but our bands are making us sick. We can't grow when we're caught in a constant cycle of inhalation, our bodies toxic from pent-up poisons poured into us until our very lives are shorter. We go to school, we work, we have children of our own, but still we are not welcome, we are tolerated. And we know that at any moment we will be shown we are an outsider by a look, a comment, a dismissal of our lived experiences. We can apply our dry and try to excel, but with a word, our words are so much hot air. How can we breathe free when our position relies on your good graces? There is no equality. So we plaster on our too bright, tight smiles or embody the angry black cliche. But the bands are choking us, cutting off air to our brains. This is intolerable and it's tightening all the time. These bands are surrounding us and we're dying. I can't breathe. The doctor says it's called anxiety and recommends meditation and deep breathing. But she can't see the bands and could never know what made it, so I will show you. I can't sleep and I'm worrying about money. My heart is racing and I'm gasping in bed, feeling a nameless dread, and the band tightens and I can't breathe. A racist email goes round my work and I'm the only person of colour there. I must speak up. The band tightens and I can't breathe. A good friend posts on social media that white lives matter and the band tightens and I can't breathe. A white colleague is upset when I ask her not to touch my hair without asking and I look like the asshole and the band tightens and I can't breathe. I feel ashamed for not speaking up against racism that day. I was too tired and racism is a white problem anyway, but the band tightens and I can't breathe. My daughter told me, a girl at school said, oh look, there's the African, and the band tightens and I can't breathe. My son's teacher does nothing when a boy says, people don't like you because you're brown, and the band tightens and I can't breathe. The guilt of being a light-skinned black woman, knowing that my life is easier than a dark-skinned sister, yet I'm suffocating and the band tightens and I can't breathe. Across the world, a black man is murdered by police. He could be my uncle, and the band tightens and I can't breathe. In 21 years, Scotland has never had a black MSP, and the band tightens and we can't breathe. Black women are 5 times more likely to die in childbirth than white women, and the band tightens and we can't breathe. African households in the UK have 1/10 of the wealth of white ones, and the band tightens and we can't breathe. Our leaders laugh about pickaninnies, letterboxes and watermelon smiles, and the band tightens and we can't breathe. Black people are more likely to die of COVID, and the band tightens and we can't breathe. Sheikh Ubayu's killers are still free and the band tightens and we can't breathe. Society is literally kneeling on our necks and we can't breathe. We can't breathe. We can't breathe. My family has been here for 3 generations of trauma and we are tired. We want the same as you, to live and breathe freely, but the pressure of these bans gives us no space to grow. And if all of us aren't free, then none of us are. I'm not saying you have no problems or that white skin is a ticket to an easier life, but your life is not made harder because of your skin colour. Yet the fight goes on. A friend of mine told me the other day, I don't know how you keep going. I guess I do what my mother did. Hold my children close, breathe deep of the scent of their hair until the dizziness stops, and find the strength to keep fighting. Keep breathing.
I knew from the moment we met on First Street. I knew from the moment the police pulled past and started asking questions. In patois they spoke, so I didn't know exactly what they were saying. I stand praying that they don't touch him. My beautiful black boy, big brown eyes look through me. My soul, I beg they leave him whole, intact. Leave him in all his omega, in all of his black. Don't touch him. In my rivers he swim. I saw myself in him, to his rivers I swim. Together we swam in seas. He sees me and my love. He broke the news to me. I was not the only one. See, my black boys economically a web we've spun, some spin, some weave. Just like a former me, the spider in the web is selling bodies. Hello. This is slavery, baby, this be disease, selling breath to whiteness, come on now, please, this is racism. Hello, boy, this is slavery, black skin not worth more than pennies, then common sense. Sorrow, hello, bodies, come on, this is slavery, baby, this be disease, selling to whiteness, we're selling bodies, hello, come on, this is slavery. We're in the slave graves and he does the same. Together we be twin flame. We talk, no shame. Not yet we walk hunched with cane, but the sugar cane we chop down. Like our ancestors before us, we rock, we roots, we reggae, we baby, we rock steady. I on his knee, I believe together we be free in love, in liberty. The chains of slavery can't hold us. The chains of Armistead can't hold us. They chose us in all our omega. They tried to break us, debase, erase and shake us. Shakes the very soul in me, but in all our black, in all our beauty, we break free. I live in the struggle, but the struggle ain't me. Together we be African, Bayesian, royalty, communicating telepathically. The chains of slavery can't hold us. The chains of Armistead can't hold us through many lifetimes. You've been the rhythm, baby. I was already the rhyme in time. Bodies entwine, not even sexually, just like you holding me so patiently, like the bark to the tree. We hold endlessly, tell stories effortlessly. And boy, your words, your story breaks me. And I can't bear to hear how your leg caught a boat propeller when you were 13. And your whole life you've been propelled, black boy to white dream, dreaming in a nightmare. Hello, black love, wake up from the white mirror in a game of black truth or white dare. And I overstand, you don't even have to speak. Remember, I told you I hear telepathically. You trigger in me the love and the pain. You make me forget my slave name. I forget the chains, babe. I forget the waves. I am only sea. I see, foresaw. And it's like he's consumed me, eaten me whole like the ripest of fruits. We told each other dark, black secrets like we knew we could, like we knew we could be more than this. Like our black skin was worth more than this, baby. We are worth all of this. We are the cause of this skin. I no longer hold remorse for this throat. No longer goes hoarse for this. Come on, we knew we should be more than this. Our black skin is worth more than this. And baby, hello, our black skin is worth all of this.
At school, I was told to always tell it, but I was never taught it. Our ancestors held on to hope to cut out the rope that hung around their neck, and still they can't breathe. I was taught that we were all born equal and free, alongside diluted versions of colonialism and biased accounts of equality. Equal and free, yet we can't breathe. We have a daughter, and for those ancestors we named her Hope. Maybe in her lifetime they can cut right through the rope. Equal and free, yet we can't breathe. We still can't breathe.
erase the history? Will we ever grow? Was the Bible just for show? Oh, you should be ashamed of yourselves. We can't breathe. We still can't breathe. No, we can't breathe. We still can't breathe. No, we can't breathe. We still can't breathe. No, we can't breathe. We can't breathe. We still can't breathe. No, no, and we can't breathe. We still can't breathe. No, no, we can't breathe. We still can't breathe. No, no, we can't breathe. We can't breathe.
An artist's duty is to reflect the times, but we choose to think you cannot help but to be involved. We cannot help but speak out. We must not be silent. Silence is betrayal. We must not be silent.
Looking right back at you.
Well, I'm looking,
Looking right back at you.
I'm looking right back at you. Looking in the mirror, looking right back at you. Where you gonna run? Oh, taking too long with you. Well, I'm looking, I'm looking, I'm looking, I'm looking, I'm looking, looking right back at you. Looking in the mirror, looking right back at you. Where you gonna draw the line? Oh, maybe I'll ask a question. Looking right back at you.
Judging my exterior, your book says I'm inferior. Reflecting my interior, no more of a superior. Judge me by my character from Jersey, London, Syria. Watch until we bury all your thoughts of global terror. So, like a right around, we gather up the more of the merrier. I swear to ya, challenge all your acts, culture scavenger. Silence not escape, it's just a damager. Cause ain't nowhere to run the revolution. Looking back at ya.
Looking right back at you.
Looking in the mirror, looking right back at you. Where you gonna run? Oh, taking too long to choose. But I'm looking, looking right back at you.
Villains don't know better, they've been vetted, we've been shredded. Most don't get it, some just wicked up and spin it. Hated in it by your gimmicks. So they ripping, y'all be looking like they tripping. Nah, they stand for better quality of living. It's making pieces upon the crumbs that we've been given. This is economics, the base for the hate is really driven. It's perfect time for love and a gathering of wisdom. Paradigm is shifting, self-destruct, we all be lifted.
Looking right back at you. Right back at you.
Well, I'm looking, I'm looking, I'm looking. So Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
We're not going anywhere. The next section can be found on YouTube or Facebook, depending on where you're watching, and will be premiered right now.